Wow. Hello, beautiful souls. Kat here from the Craft of Wellness. You might also know me from that parenting coach, or maybe you know me as the Hugh mom of Sir Isaac Newton. Yep, my funny little one eyed rescue pug. And you might know me as a trauma therapist, or perhaps a school counselor. Maybe a therapeutic coloring workbook curator. That's me. Or even more recently, a Reiki practitioner. More about that. But honestly, all of those things that you may know me as, those are just labels. They're things that I have done or accomplished. They're not who I am, not even close. And at the end of the day, my friends, I am just a divine being having a human experience. And wow, this human, oh boy, this human, she's still learning. Yeah, she's growing. She's healing. Yeah, still healing. Still laughing. Still making mistakes and learning lessons. And still choosing herself. But also still figuring out this beautiful, messy, magical thing that we call life. And I have a feeling that's why we're all here, right? Not to become perfect. Oh my goodness, we're human. But to remember who we really are underneath all the conditioning and fear and the stories that we've carried and the narratives that defined us. Lately, I catch myself saying the same thing and I just giggle because it's like, wow. No, seriously, that's what I say. Wow. Wow. Like, I honestly can't believe how beautiful life has become. Not because everything is perfect, because it's not. No, sorry, friends. And believe me, difficult things still happen. Yep, they do. And older versions of myself wake up. But changed. And every single day seems to bring another little gift. Beautiful people keep showing up in my life. I like that actually. And opportunities seem to appear exactly when I need them. And I didn't even know that I needed them. And ideas. Wow, friends. My brilliance knows no bounds because the ideas that drop into my brain, I could never have planned. And the projects that I am working on, wow, they unfold me in ways that surprise even me. But instead of feeling overwhelmed, I just mostly feel really grateful. Mm-hmm. I have way more peace, way more ease. Everything just flows, which leads to more joy, more laughter, more love. Wow, more than I ever imagined possible, especially several years ago. And the exciting part of all this, yeah, I know I am not at the finish line. Nope. I feel like I'm just getting started. I've had people actually ask me, Kat, or in some cases, Catherine, what changed? And the answer, my friends, is in the wind. Just kidding. That's a song. The answer is surprisingly simple. I choose myself. Yeah, I just chose myself. Several years ago, I stopped waiting for someone else to rescue me. Mm-hmm. I stopped believing that my worth came from constantly taking care of everyone else or getting another degree or being the best at my job. And all the while, I just quietly abandoned myself. Yeah. So instead, I started asking myself the same questions that I actually spent decades asking other people. No, for real. What do I need? What would help my nervous system feel safe? What brings me peace? And also, what brings me joy? What helps me come alive and feel that energy just flowing through me? And then I started listening. Was that easy? No. There was no instructions either, by the way. Yep, it wasn't easy at all. And when you stop people pleasing, when you begin setting those healthy boundaries, when you stop abandoning yourself or turning off your light, some people become really uncomfortable. They do. Change can be hard. And sometimes they're going to tell you that you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You have. I have. It's beautiful, friends, because you're no longer shrinking yourself to make everyone else comfortable and feel better about themselves. You're choosing yourself. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, even though they're going to tell you it is. And I think that's really ironic because they want you to selfishly focus on them. But I think choosing you is one of the most loving things that you could ever do. Because when your nervous system finally begins to feel safe, you stop expecting everyone else to create that safety for you. You stop looking externally. Wow, hey. Yeah. And that, my friends, changes everything. It changes the way you parent, changes your relationships, how you show up in relationships, changes work, what you define as work. And so, most importantly, it changes the relationship with yourself. Yeah. For years, yeah, think about this. For years, I immersed myself in learning. Oh, believe me, I knew firsthand experience trauma. And now I needed to learn about it. Trauma, attachment, all the brain science. Oh, I am such a huge polyvagal theory fan. And I dove into child development and human behavior. I read everything I could get my hands on. I attended trainings. Oh, yeah. And I filled those notebooks. So many notes. And I collected certifications and masters. And every single bit of what I did, it mattered. I love learning and I had so much fun. And I'm probably going to be learning for the rest of my life, right? But somewhere along the way, well, life taught me something even more important. And a lesson that has become one of my guiding principles, guiding philosophies, would be this: knowledge changes your mind. Oh, yes, it does. But practice changes your life. Healing doesn't happen because we read another book. Healing happens because we live what we've learned every single day. As many moments as we can. And I think we should take a deep breath in and out, because every breath counts. Sometimes my practice looks like walking backwards to wake up and rewire my brain. Sometimes it's sitting in the middle of the forest. Sometimes it's balancing on one foot while I brush my teeth with my left hand. And sometimes it's eating with my left hand outside barefoot, or coloring with my non-dominant hand, which is my left. And sometimes it's choosing to go outside instead of staying in my thoughts. And it's standing barefoot in the river. It's listening to the birds, watching the leaves dance, the sunlight poking through, hugging a tree, breathing deeply. Ooh, one of my favorites, humming, for sure. And laughing, resting, and just simply allowing myself to feel an emotion instead of trying to fix it or bury it, hide it, right? And those, my friends, are just tiny little practices. But those tiny little practices, repeated consistently, slowly over time, rewired my brain. They taught my nervous system that life could actually feel safe. Wow. And when your nervous system begins to feel safe, your whole world starts looking different. It literally is a whole new world. I wrote a book about that. I truly believe we heal from the bottom up. I mean, that's my education and training. But as a divine being and knowing, I know this to be true. It's definitely not by forcing ourselves to think positively. That's never going to work. But it's going to be by helping our bodies remember what safety feels like. Because once the body feels safe, the mind follows. And then maybe, just maybe, that's what healing really is. Not becoming someone new, no, but remembering who you've always been underneath the survival. And that, my friends, is the journey that I've been on. And honestly, it's been one of the greatest adventures of my life. And one of the hardest chapters of that journey was someone that I loved so desperately and wholly with my heart. My beautiful baby girl, Sadie. Yeah. And if you've ever loved an animal, you're going to understand what I say. Because that kind of grief is real. Oh, man. It's so deep. I had so much shame. And sometimes it's really lonely. Yeah. Because reality is, not everyone understands how much a pet can become part of your soul. Or maybe always was. Sometimes people unintentionally make you feel that you should just move on. It's just a dog. Get another one. But grief, as we know, doesn't work that way. Not at all. And love definitely doesn't work that way at all. And looking back now, I can see that losing Sadie taught me one of the most greatest lessons of my life. No, for reals. Healing happens at the speed of safety, not at the speed of expectation, and not at the speed of what someone else thinks you should heal, but the speed that your heart is ready at, the speed your nervous system can hold. That season taught me to trust the process, And just trust. Not because it was easy, friends, because it wasn't. It's not what I'm here to tell you. But because every little step mattered. And then, as life does, life surprised me. And along came Sir Isaac Newton. You guys see him? There he is. Ah, Sir Isaac Newton. God, that boy or that dog, that pug, really changed me and how I saw things, right? Really helped me understand that it's about being in the moment. Obviously, it's in the moment. It's just taking the time and connect with yourself and Gaia. Like it was, I don't know, it's just beautiful. He is really one of my greatest teachers. He doesn't know anything about neuroscience, and he definitely doesn't know anything about nervous systems. He doesn't know about trauma. However, he lived trauma. And yet, he lives everything I have spent years teaching and learning. If he wants to stop and sniff the same tree for 10 minutes, he stops and sniffs the tree for 10 minutes. And while he's busy doing that, I'm hugging the tree beside him because teamwork. He reminds me to slow down, to notice the breeze, to hear the river and the birds, to feel the sunshine, to stop rushing towards whatever is supposed to come next. Just simply be where my feet are, or my bum. And he didn't just help heal my heart after losing Sadie. He helped me practice everything that I spent years learning. And there's a huge difference between understanding something and embodying it. And that is why the Sir Isaac Newton has become part of everything that I create. Because healing doesn't only happen in therapy offices. It happens at the river. It happens on a forest trail. And sometimes it happens while a little rescue pug spends 15 minutes investigating what he believes to be the best tree in British Columbia. And those moments remind me that life isn't meant to be rushed. It's meant to be experienced. As Dr. Bruce Lipton said, what does chocolate taste like? Another huge shift for me is when I stopped seeing things through problems and started seeing things through the lens of energy and frequency. Now, I know that means different things to different people. And for me, this is definitely not about replacing science. I actually believe that it fits alongside perfectly, beautifully, along everything that I've learned about the brain and the nervous system. Our brains communicate through electrical messaging, little singles. Our hearts generate measurable electromagnetic fields. Our nervous systems are constantly responding to what's happening around us. The more that I understood my nervous system, the more aware I became of the energy that I was actually bringing into situations. The energy behind my thoughts, the energy behind my emotions, the energy of the people I surround myself with, the energy of the places I spend my time. And instead of asking what's wrong with me, I started asking, what am I practicing today? Right? Because practice makes it real, friends, for sure. Am I practicing fear or am I practicing trust? Scarcity or abundance? Pressure or peace? Because whatever we practice repeatedly becomes familiar. And what becomes familiar slowly becomes our identity. And that one shift changed everything for me. I realized I didn't have to wait for life to change before I felt different. That you could choose to be happy. I could begin practicing the person I wanted to become, one choice at a time, one thought at a time, one breath at a time, one walk at a time. and one coloring page at a time. And speaking of coloring, I know people smile when I tell them that coloring became one of the greatest healing tools in my own reparenting journey. So much so. Yeah, it's true. Coloring slowed my breathing. It gave my brain, my very busy brain, one simple thing to focus on. It helped both sides of my brain work together. It quieted the noise. It created little moments where my nervous system could simply exhale. That's why creating therapeutic coloring workbooks means so much to me, and I have so much fun, friends. It's not about coloring. Well, it is. It's actually about creating moments of safety, moments of curiosity, moments of play, moments where your inner child remembers that it's safe to come out again. That little version of you inside, the one who spent so much time trying to survive, deserves opportunities to simply create without judgment, to color without pressure, to just breathe, to smile, to play, to just be. And I know people are often very surprised when I tell them that I've only recently became a Reiki practitioner. I know, right? Oh, the truth is, friends, I've wanted to learn Reiki for years. It just never happened. I now know why. I totally understand why. I wasn't ready. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because I was energetically not where I needed to be yet. Sometimes life isn't saying no. Sometimes it is very lovingly saying, not yet. And looking back, I can see that everything arrived exactly when it was supposed to. And now it feels completely aligned. Not because, oh, yeah, for sure, friends, not that Reiki is going to replace any kind of therapy or what I do. And it definitely does not replace the brain science. And it does not replace nervous system regulation. But it's sure part of my life now because I have come to know that healing has many different doorways: science, nature, movement, connection, creativity, therapeutic coloring, breath, and stillness. Right? Community. None of those things compete with one another. Together, they help us. They help us remember ourselves. They help us become one of the greatest gifts. Us, our remembering, our knowing. I don't feel like I'm collecting different careers anymore. I'm simply gathering different ways to help people heal. Just different languages that all speak the same truth. And that healing is possible. And that your nervous system can learn safety. And that your brain can change. You can rewire it. And that your story is definitely not finished. And that maybe, just maybe, you become far more whole than what you ever realized. When I step back and I look at my life now, wow, I just realize nothing was wasted. Not the heartbreak, not the grief, not the mistakes and the many lessons, not the years I spent wondering if I was enough and believing I wasn't. Not the years I spent taking care of everyone else before I learned how to take care of myself. Every chapter gave me something. Every experience taught me something. Every difficult season became part of the person I am today. For a long time, such a long time, I thought I had to figure everything out before I could help other people. And now I know that's not true. We don't have to be perfect to make a difference. We simply have to be willing to keep growing, expanding, to stay curious, to stay open, to stay practicing. Because healing is not a destination, it's a relationship with yourself and your inner being and your inner child, a relationship with your nervous system, a relationship with your body, a relationship with nature, and a relationship with the people you choose to surround yourself with. And for me, a relationship with something so much bigger than myself. Whether you call that God, source, the universe, higher self, collective consciousness, or simply just hope. I've come to trust that there is something beautiful unfolding, even when I can't see the whole picture. And I think one of my favorite reminders is this: I don't have to know exactly how everything is going to unfold. I just have to take the next loving step and choose me. And that's it. And sometimes when I look at everything that's happening in my life, the craft of wellness, that parenting coach, the therapeutic coloring workbooks, my app. Oh, yeah, there's an app coming, friends. My videos, the workshops, the Reiki, the adventures with Sir Isaac Newton. I just smile. I just have to smile because I honestly have no idea exactly where it's all going. And for the first time in my life, I'm okay with that. I am so excited by it because I trust the process. I trust that if I keep showing up with love, if I keep creating, if I keep learning, if I keep serving, the path will continue to reveal itself. And maybe that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. You don't have to force every door open. Sometimes you simply walk towards the doors that naturally open. Life has become so much lighter since I stopped trying to control every outcome. I still have goals. Ooh, and I still dream big, probably bigger than ever. But now I dream from a place of peace instead of pressure. I really want to share a quote with you that really stayed with me. And I just really can't think about it because it is so true. Someone said, being in your 50s is like being 16 again, except this time you love yourself. And the first time I heard that, I laughed because, wow, that's exactly how I feel. I feel curious again, creative again, hopeful again, excited about the future. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because I became kinder to myself. And these days, I don't wake up wondering what's going to go wrong. I wake up wondering what magic might happen today. What beautiful conversation might I have? Who might I meet? What opportunity might appear? How can I bring a little bit more kindness and love into the world? That simple shift has changed the way that I experience life. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from my story, it's this: your life doesn't have to look like mine, and your healing won't look exactly like mine either. And your path will be beautiful, uniquely yours. But I hope my journey reminds you that change is possible, that our brains can change and rewire, our nervous systems can learn safety, that our hearts can heal, that joy can return, that we can become more ourselves instead of less. Not because we're fixing something that's broken, but because we're remembering who we've always been underneath the fear, the conditioning, the programming. And that's why I do what I do. Whether I'm talking about parenting, or nervous systems, or therapeutic coloring, or simply being in nature, or Reiki, or walking through the forest with Sir Isaac Newton. It's really the same mission: holding people space so they can come home to themselves, helping people come home to themselves, helping people remember that they're worthy of peace, that they're worthy, helping people remember that healing isn't about becoming someone else, it's about becoming fully you. And before I finish this video, I really want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Wow, like 29 minutes in, and if you're still here, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you for choosing to spend a little piece of your day with me. And thank you for watching, for listening, for coloring, for growing, for believing that healing is possible. The community means more to me than I can ever put in words. I've always wanted to believe that it takes a village to raise a child, but I've come to believe something else now, too. It takes a community to help adults remember who they are. None of us were meant to do this alone. We heal in connection. That's brain science. We grow in connection. That's brain science. And we remember ourselves in connection. If something I've shared here helps shed some light, even on that small little step on your path, then every difficult chapter I've lived through has been worth it. Because someone else's courage once became evidence that healing was possible for me. Maybe my journey can become evidence for someone else. And maybe it reminds someone that they're not too late, that they're not too broken, that they're not too old, and that there's still so much more life waiting for them. And maybe, just maybe, the best years of your life haven't happened yet. So, here's my invitation to you, especially if you made it this far, friends. Choose yourself. Not because it's easy, because you're worth choosing. Practice the little things. The small things done consistently are what changes our lives. So go outside, breathe deeply, walk barefoot, color, laugh, rest, ask for help, eat good, nourishing, real food. Say no when you need to or when you want to, and say yes when it lights up your soul. Trust your nervous system. Trust your heart. Trust the journey. And remember, knowledge changes your mind. Practice changes your life. Until next time, keep choosing yourself. Keep practicing. Trust the process, because everything is always working out for you.